Hey everyone, welcome to the next episode of Seven Figure Entrepreneur. We got Gabe here. Gabe, you want to say what's up?
Hello, hello.
We got something a bit special for you today. Someone who's doing something online, which I, for the most part, have completely no knowledge of, as far as like how the business model works and how he's built it up over time. In fact, when I met him 4 or 5 years ago, he was just starting it, and I'm like a pretty conservative guy. So in my eyes, I was kind of like, man, this is like an expensive hobby. But what's cool is he's taken this hobby and he's really turned into a business. And it's a lot of people always talk about, follow your passions to help, build a business, make you money. I haven't been a guy that's done that. I love parts of my business, but I wouldn't say it's like, every single piece is my favorite thing to do. What's cool about this guy is he's done that. He's taken, something he loves, a hobby of his, and turned it into a full-time income. So with that said, I want to introduce Damon. Damon, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
My pleasure.
So to get started, do you want to give everyone kind of a little insight on who you are and what you do?
Sure. Um, so I am, we'll start with the fundamentals. I'm 38 years old. I have three daughters. I'm married. I have a beautiful wife. I live on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada. I've lived here my whole life, born and raised. And I have a huge passion for cars. That was a hobby, like you were mentioning, and we're turning it into, it's not currently, so let's be honest here, it's not currently a full-time income yet, but it's my full-time work as of the last 6, 8 months. And I have other companies as well that really have paid me and are my bread and butter businesses, all online. And what else can I tell you? That's it in a nutshell. I don't know how deep you guys want me to go. I think you guys have some questions that'll get to
Yeah.
the other stuff. So
No, I
that's
think
kind of me in a nutshell.
I think that's good. I think that's good. So when you were talking about your other online business that are your bread and butter, what are they, and how did you get into them?
Sure. So we can go to the beginning, which Gabe,
Yeah.
I first got into the online marketing industry through email marketing.
Hmm.
And at the time, I was working a job. I worked for the largest furniture manufacturing slash retail company in Canada called The Brick. I'd been there for 4.5 years, and I've grown up with a knack for people skills. Growing up in the hospitality industry, which is what my parents did. So I was a server. I was front of the house, they call it, when you work in the front of a restaurant or a motel, which is both of what my parents had. And I developed people skills from a young age, like 10 years old. And so when it came time to getting a job as an adult, I tried various different things, laborish type of jobs, but really always found myself happier and making more money doing sales type of positions and learning the sales game. So I found myself at the Brick, had a good little career there, but I was always wanting to be an entrepreneur. So I saw the benefits of that from watching my parents own a business. And I was always looking for something, and this guy came into my life through the Brick. My one of my sales managers had like a half brother. He kept popping by. This guy had more time and more money than anybody I'd ever met in my life, and I was very curious about, what the hell does this guy do? And over about 6 to 7 months, we were just hanging out and became friends. And he just told me little bits of what he did. I was very confused and I'm not a techie person, right?
No.
I've never grown up being the guy in front of
Yeah.
a computer, hammering away gaming or anything like that. But he eventually was like, look, this is what I do, broke it down. I got the basic concept, email marketing, right?
Hmm.
And he did it in bulk commercial style. So it wasn't like he managed a whole bunch of little companies. He built his own database of millions of email addresses, and he would essentially send the most likely retail product or service that the masses were interested in. So, finding out trends. And he made tons of money doing this, like tons. I was just like, holy crap, this is ridiculous when he finally told me what he was making.
Yeah.
Like upwards of like $500,000 a month.
It's so exciting.
And I'm just like, okay, I'm grinding, typically 12-hour day at the Brick because it's sales commission. So There is no 8-hour day. If you want to make money, if you're with a client at the end of your quote unquote 8 hours, you stay and you close the deal. And sometimes people who are furnishing a whole house, that's a 3-hour deal. So you're committed. And I saw this guy where he had the laptop lifestyle. He could go anywhere he wanted as long as he had his laptop and an internet connection, and he was making up to $500,000 a month, US dollars. So we live in Canada. I mean, that's like equivalent to like what right now, like $1 billion Canadian.
I was just gonna say.
That's a pretty accurate exchange right now.
Yeah, the exchange is huge.
Yeah.
So again, there was just all these amazing things about it, and so he eventually offered to show me what he did and to come and work with him, and I did that for a year. And after a year, we just saw each other going in different directions. You got to imagine I'm a father of 2 daughters at the time, and my lifestyle didn't allow for me when I had my kids to just always be out enjoying the laptop lifestyle to its full benefit. I need to be home and being a father, and that made it really difficult for my business partner at the time and I to really hang out all the time. And we just eventually parted ways over some stuff, and I ended up getting into it all for myself with a couple of other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up doing email marketing for, I think it was like 7.5 years until I eventually just saw it becoming more and more complicated on a technical standpoint. Like I said, not being a super tech savvy person, I needed to either hire smarter people than me, which where I live is really hard. Vancouver Island's not a big tech hub community. I mean, it's not, like San Fran or even Vancouver. And I was just having challenges. So I started looking for the exit. But here's the most amazing thing about what I did for 7.5 years. It goes right back to the fundamentals about how I was successful working at the Brick. I was good at networking and building relationships and working with people. So ultimately, in the end, I had built these amazing relationships, and I weeded out the bad people from the industry, and I started to develop a really good list of good people to work with who had integrity, who had a long history of success and doing what they said they were going to do. And so I worked with those people to get into another market. And I had a specific person in mind. Actually, I can say his name, Warren. And Warren owned a couple of companies down in Southern California, one of them being a big ad network, which did a lot of Facebook marketing. So I saw this opportunity to get into Facebook marketing. And through my relationship that I developed with Warren and running email traffic for him, I reached out several times. He didn't just say yes the first time. He'd be the first to tell you I'm a persistent bastard. And I literally bugged him for a year because I saw that the window for email for me was slowly closing. I was making less and less money. It was getting harder and harder to inbox, which is how you make the money in email. So finally, I got a meeting with him, and I gave him the sales pitch face to face, and he was like, we get these offers all the time, but you have such high recommendations coming from this one girl, actually, Jill, who was one of his affiliate managers. And he just looked up to her so much that she gave me a really good referral, and he gave me a shot. And the rest is history. Now I do Facebook marketing, and I basically stick to one niche. I've tried a few others, but I know lots of guys that do all sorts of different things and do it very successfully. And it's been a great ride. And now it's in a nutshell, I don't even run the company anymore. I have an amazing business partner who has all of the traits you need, because when you get into business, you're not going to be awesome at everything. So you have to be able to identify what you're not good at. And don't try to make yourself better at it. Try to find someone who's good at the things you're not good at so that you guys complement each other. And I have that business partner, and he's taken the reins, and him and our team totally run our our Facebook marketing company after 2.5 years. And now I'm building what is Daily Driven Exotics, the YouTube channel that you guys are going to want to ask me some more info about.
Yeah.
But that's our deal, is that we wanted to make multiple streams of passive income and build multiple companies. And Oliver is also an automotive and a motorcycle enthusiast, and he loves the ideas that through building this company, it also gives us access through business write-offs. And it's just a smart way that if you can design your life and business around things you enjoy doing, you get lots of benefits like tax write-offs, and you can have toys that the company owns that are legitimately used to create revenue. So now you're making money while doing what you like. And that was the whole purpose of Daily Driven Exotics.
That's awesome, man.
So
that's super cool.
Yeah, and we can talk about how it came about, because it really came about by a fluke, by a video that I made. So what do you want to chat about next? My shenanigan videos? Or do you want to talk more?
Well, the
first, you want to talk more about business, because
I want to identify a couple things that you brought up that led you to your success, and it's something we've been harping on. I wouldn't say necessarily harping, but we've been bringing up over and over again. Just the fact of know what you're good at, know what your skill set is, and then also know what you're not good at. Because, like you said, if you focus on your more or less paraphrasing. You focus on your weaknesses, you'll have a bunch of mediocre weaknesses. Focus on your strengths. That's really where you're going to get the leverage and be able to get the most out of the skill set that you have already.
I would agree 100%. I mean, something I can give you a little quick background again on me, and I talk about this all the time, not out of pride that this is how I went about it. It's all hindsight. I mean, if I was, super poor and didn't make it, I don't think I'd be walking around going, I dropped out of school. But that's what I'm about to say. I dropped out of school at a very young age, grade 8, in fact, and I never went back. And, people, I think, would ask a lot of the time, and I get asked a lot of the time, okay, if you dropped out of school, how are you capable of doing what you're doing? And the truth is it just came back to building relationships. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no school to teach you on how to be authentic and genuine and have integrity. It's just you have to have those values. So part of that comes from my parents. Part of that comes from who I spent my time around as I was becoming an adult, making mistakes, but then learning from them. You know what I mean? It's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them. If you start making the same mistake 3-4 times in a row, there's a problem, right? And I was really hungry to be an entrepreneur young. So I took a lot of personal development courses, and I took a lot of really good information in my early 20s. So yeah, I built good relationships, not bad relationships. You can do both. So yeah, that's how I've become, quote unquote, somewhat successful, I guess. I don't feel like I'm anywhere near done.
Do you think you'd be in the same place you are today if you didn't drop out of school?
No, God, no. Because I started so soon. It's not like I dropped out of school and was like, okay, I'm going to go skateboarding now. Mm-hmm. I went and worked for my mom in the restaurant industry. And I learned what it was like to grind an 8 to 12 hour day of work, 6 days a week, helping run the family restaurant. And it wasn't like, don't picture family restaurant. Like, we're not talking, my parents didn't own Ruth Chris Steakhouse or something like that. That's like some big, massive conglomerate chain. No, it was like some tiny little restaurant in a little town, but it was a popular place. My mom did a very good job of making it a place that everybody wanted to go to. And it was kind of like a special occasion place. So it was also the place people would dress up, and we get, the doctors and the lawyers and the people who had a little more than an above average income would also come in. And so I got to meet, rich and wealthy people at an early age, and I learned how to communicate with them and talk to them, and you build relationships with people, and that's what I got good at a young age. So that all started at picture it. I mean, we're talking 14 years old.
Yeah.
I actually got a question for you, man. Because one realization I had, because I went to school for engineering and all that stuff, and I wouldn't consider myself smart by any stretch. In fact, I would say I'm more of a get by the skin of your teeth kind of guy when it comes to formal education. My marks were nothing to brag about or anything like that. But one thing that really hit me when I, got out of school and got my first job working at a firm, I met people who, I met a lot of real estate investors especially, and there was one in particular, and he had a couple $1 million in equity, 15 grand a month or 20 grand a month of passive income, was just doing great. And I'm like, wow, this guy must be like, this just must be a smart dude. And then I started spending time with him, and like, no disrespect to him, but he wasn't very smart at all. In fact, I was unsure how he even got his pants on in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I think I had to show him 8 times. I went to his house every week for 8 weeks just to show him how to turn on his PowerPoint on his computer, which is literally click the button that says PowerPoint. Like
Wow.
hit
Yeah,
the
I
icon.
know people like that too, man. I won't name him, but I have a really good, friend that I've made over the last couple of years who, um, when you meet him, he's socially awkward.
Yeah.
He has a hard time, like when you talk to him, you're not sure if he's speaking in half sentences. He has unusual body and like movements and stuff like that. And it's not to say that he comes off stupid. He just comes off as not completely like socially normal.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, he just sold half of one of his companies for $130 million,
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah,
I,
man.
and he's 31.
I thought you were going to say it was Dave for a second, and I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just kidding. I like giving Dave
yeah.
a hard time.
Yeah, he's funny, man.
It's funny,
He
dude.
makes for a good business partner. He's
Yeah.
one of my partners in Daily Driven Exotics, and he's a great dude.
Yeah. Solid dude.
Yeah.
That's great, man. That was a realization I had though. Like I'm like, if this guy can do it, like anyone can do it. And I'm wondering, like back when you were at the restaurant those days, you're meeting people, who are wealthy. Did you ever have that thought? Did you ever be like, wow, these people are no better than me. If they can do it, I can do it.
When I was young, no, I didn't have that thought. I had um, I had this feeling where, and I still have it today. I've carried it with me. I've always had the feeling of I can do anything I want. And that bites me in the ass sometimes because I do things sometimes that I find out I can't do anything I want. Like funny enough, the video we just talked about, I did some things to piss some people off and it got me banned from something. So,
Yeah.
and that was definitely falling back into I just wasn't listening to their advice and I went ahead and did some stuff anyhow. And that didn't hurt anybody. And I wasn't the only one doing it. But yeah, there's a few other reasons why that happened. But yeah, in short, I wasn't, I didn't take people's advice as, hey, you shouldn't do that. It's going to piss these people off. And I was like, whatever. Like, I want to live my life. If I want to do that, I'm just going to do that. So yeah, like, and I've just always had that attitude, like, okay, I'm going to do this. And the funny thing is I have failed at a lot of stuff, but when I go into something, failing at it, it's like not ever in my mind. It's like I always have this perfect plan and I always see the end result. I don't always know exactly how I'm going to get there, but I always see like, okay, I want that. I'm going to get it. And somehow, one way or another, I do, like just through grinding or meeting people. And that really will bring me back to I'm a huge person that lives by the law of attraction. So I'm consciously aware every minute of every day since my mid-20s that what I focus on expands. And it's taken me 15 years to get good enough at it to where like I would make stuff happen all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
cool.
still have negative thoughts, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'm way more consciously aware to, I need to change my thought pattern because if I keep thinking about something negatively, I'm going to attract more negative people, more negative, circumstances and situations. And that's not what I ultimately want. So then I got to be like, okay, how do I turn this around? Then I have a few mechanisms to like change my attitude from being one that's kind of bummed out or dwelling on something that's not positive. Like music works really well for me.
Yeah.
I can put my headset in and put on a couple of different songs that I have currently, and I'm instantly energized and ready to go and like kick ass and take over the world.
Do you are you cool if I kind of, because it relates to what you just said, and I think there's a deeper lesson here. Are you cool if I kind of talk about the thing that we were elusive on or that you were banned on?
Yeah, go for it.
So basically, to give you guys a background is, and I might screw this up, so correct me where I'm off, but basically a bunch of guys who have exotic cars like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, they do these drives together, and you're more or less part of this group, and you guys go on like these epic road trips, right?
Yeah, rallies. They're called
Yeah.
like extended multi-day rallies. Typically, the biggest one in the world is Gumball 3000. Same thing.
Yeah, so Damon was a part of one, and Uh, anyway, so he recently got banned from one, but so that's kind of like the story behind it. But it was interesting because when I was talking to him before we started this webinar, because we were just catching up, he was uploading a video to YouTube. Anyways, he immediately, I said something along the lines of, oh man, that sucks, and he's like, well, actually, it's good because, and immediately he flipped it from a negative into a positive. And there's always two ways to look at a coin. It just matters the side you're looking at. And one thing I noticed about Damon is like, I don't think he consciously in that moment thought of like, oh, how do I flip this around? I think you've created a habit, man, where if you see like an obstacle, you look at the bright side of it and then follow down that path as opposed to dwelling on, the negative outcome of the whole thing. I think that was automatic.
Totally. And I've been able to develop that since, like I said, my mid-20s. And it's been, sorry, I was just saying quickly bye to one of my daughters. She's leaving.
Yeah, that's fine, man.
Yeah, Tyler. So yeah, it's been a thing that when I was first introduced to The Secret, when it was first coming out on DVD, the original one, I was like, I think like 20, probably around 25, maybe 24, somewhere around there. And I took it and I watched it, and man, I would almost be able to, I think I was almost like in tears by the end of it because it was so emotional for me. It had such a huge impact on how badly I wanted my life to be the way I wanted it to be, and to be able to design it the way I wanted it so that I had the time freedom and the ability to just enjoy my time on this planet. And it really hit home with me at that age. And then through that and studying that, and then further getting into deeper beliefs and how to understand what your current value system is and how you developed it over, a child and a teenager and an early teen and then later in your life, and you end up with these, agreements. It's a good book, actually, The 4 Agreements. You ever heard of it?
No.
I've heard of it. I've never read it though.
That's cool.
Oh, you got to read it. So here's another funny thing. I'm dyslexic. So going to school, another reason why I think I dropped out is because I had such a hard time learning the way that schools teach you. I'm a more visual learner. I like to watch videos or be right in front of working with someone, like practically. Give me a book. I hate books. I hate reading. Like, it's taken the love of my children for me to read a 3-year-old child book because I hate reading that much. So long story short, I'm really into something if I've read a book about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is one of the books I've read, The 4 Agreements. It's actually not a big book, which is probably one of the reasons why I liked it. But it's about how you make these agreements in life, and that's how your whole life's played out. Unless you know how to change those agreements, your life is bound to those values that you have on a subconscious level, and you might not know how to identify them. So I've taken courses to understand how to identify your agreements and then change them if they're not working for the outcome that you're getting to live the life you want. And that's the thing, is one of them was understanding and building the habit that there's a positive to everything. There's a solution to every challenge. And so I live my life by that. And I've gotten to the point where now it's just, that's just how it is. Mm-hmm. It's like, there is no, when people say that to me all the time, oh, that sucks, or that didn't work out. And I've already got in my head, because as it was about to happen, I was already figuring out the solution. So by the time it's happened to me, I already have the okay, well, this is how I can make it into a positive thing. And you're right. I don't, it's subconscious. I would say that about anything.
That's one thing that I notice about high level entrepreneurs is they're very solution driven. And no offense to the people who are not at that level yet. It takes practice and time, but there's a lot of people that get stuck, and that's just how they are. They're stuck in everything, and everything is an issue. And it's just it's such a trending thing with high level entrepreneurs, or not even high level, just high level people and forward thinking people. It's just they're solution driven, and there's a solution to everything. There is no such thing as a problem. There's just a solution you haven't found yet.
Yeah. In fact, you'll hear me say that you don't typically hear me say I have a problem. I always use the word, and I've changed this, and this comes from Bob Proctor, who I've met personally and had lunch with years ago. Great guy.
Nice.
And he's changing the way that your subconscious mind works comes down to also the words you use. So we never have a problem. We have a challenge. So you hear me say, I have a challenge and here's the solution for it, right? And it's funner because when you look at it like that, it's like a challenge. If you're at all on any level a competitive person, which I am, when I say the word challenge, it actually makes me excited to overcome it.
Yeah.
When you say problem, it just sounds like, oh, I have a problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I actually, like right now when I say that, the difference I can feel in my gut and my body, the way my body reacts to that, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've become so aware of those types of things. So changing your vocabulary to one that is more solution orientated and also positive energy feeding, right? I mean, how you talk has everything to do with what's going on in your brain. So the second you can become more consciously aware of what's coming out of your mouth, that's a good indication of what's going on in your head, even on a subconscious level. And that's some of the things I've learned, that you learn to read in order to understand how to correct, right, something that's going on that maybe you don't like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like there's this whole process and system, and I'm no guru in teaching it, but these are things that have worked for me that I'm just talking about over the years to get you to that place where, if you ultimately want to change your life and have a better relationship with, say, a woman or a guy, or you want to have maybe better business relationships, or you want to have more money or a better health, it's all going to come down to how you're thinking. If you don't have that, the only thing that's stopping you is you. That's ultimately the best lesson I've ever learned in life.
I fully agree, man. And in all transparency, I'm not a big law of attraction guy at all. But where I'm with you is like 100% is the words you use and how you think. Like I have a business coach, and everyone will probably get to hear from him later. Who he's like an amazing dude. He's worked with, like, currently has like clients that run multi-billion-dollar corporations. But he's also like a personal friend of mine, and his big thing is the words you use. And when he starts working with someone, depending on it's a personal level or business level, if it's personal, it's the words. And the biggest word, he said, like the one word, like day one, the first thing he's like, I never want to hear the word why out of your mouth again. And he was all about what's and how's, and he'll talk about that later. But what he found is the more successful someone is, they use different words. And through that, he actually does this thing where he can, like, based on the words you use, he can figure out like where you are in life and what you need to do to get to that next level. But it's just fascinating. It's a science he's been, working on for, I think, like 30 or 40 years now, something ridiculous. But
Wow.
It aligns exactly with what you're saying, Damon. You use and how you think. And essentially, man, it's like it either puts you in a resourceful state where you're like solutions oriented, or it puts you in a place where, you come up against a problem and, you can't get past it because you have this problem and you have no way to get around it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's cool that you're saying the same thing that, I've really spent a lot of time investing and learning myself.
Yeah, I mean, people come to me and to my friends, and anyone who's got a lifestyle that someone wants to live, they look at you and go, okay, they paint you with the brush. That person's successful. And they're saying that because you have something they don't, and you're just successful in that area. That's what you also have to identify.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll come to me, or they'll come to a friend of mine and they go, what did you do to be successful? And it's like, people want to hear this magic answer that's going to be like overnight life transforming. And the truth is it comes down to, you have to be willing to work on you. That's number one. So that's the first thing I say to people when someone's like, how do I become successful? Okay, first and foremost, you need to be willing to work on you. You need to be willing to change things you're currently doing that aren't getting you the results you want to those of actions that are going to get you the results you want. Are you willing to do that? Because everything else doesn't matter if you're not willing to do that. So right away people go, yeah, no, I'm totally willing to do that. And so I love, there's a couple of really good stories told online by motivational speakers. But one that really gets me, and I apologize if I can't remember his name right now, but he tells a story to this classroom of kids. It's on YouTube. It's got millions of views. It's awesome. He talks about how this guy wants to be successful, and he goes to this guru, and the guru says, okay, meet me at the beach tomorrow at 6 a.m. The guy's like, 6 a.m.? He's like, yeah, meet me at the beach. And you guys may have maybe seen this video, but he takes, the kid finally shows up. Yeah, I want to be, what's that?
It's what's his name? The hip hop preacher. What's his name?
Yeah. Someone Google it quickly.
Oh man.
So I'll quickly finish just a brief overview of the story. I won't get into everything. He tells it so much better, but the short of it is he gets to the beach and he says, okay, you want to be successful? You want to make money? He says, yeah. He goes, okay, walk with me out into the water. And he's like, what? This old man's crazy or whatever. And he walks him out into the water, and they get about, waist high in the water. And he looks at me and goes, you want to be successful? Okay, we got to go a little further. And they get out to where it's like neck height in the water, right? The water's up to his neck. And he looks at me and says, you want to be successful? And he grabs him and he holds his head under the water, and he holds him until he's like almost out of breath, ready to pass out. And he lets his head go, and he comes back out of the water, and he's like, what the hell's going on? Right? And he's gasping for air. And the guru looks at him and he says, when you were underwater, what did you want more than anything else? And obviously the answer is, I wanted to breathe, I wanted air, I wanted to breathe. And he says, when you want success as bad as you want to breathe, you'll have success. And I love that story because most people aren't willing to give up or change their life. They say they are initially, but when it comes time to put in the work and to actually change their mindset, they're not really willing to do it. They're not willing to breathe and have that for success. There's too many distractions. There's too many I'd rather watch my show, or I'd rather go out, for a drink with the guys, or I'd rather go tinker with my car downstairs. The truth is you have to get to a place where you want to succeed so bad that's kind of everything in your life. Like, you still keep balance with the important stuff. Like, you still got to pay your bills and hang out with, if you have a wife or a girlfriend, give all those things the attention it needs. But at the end of the day, you don't waste your time with anything else when it comes to your time, and you just focus on you and developing you. And I think that's huge, because most people say they want to change, but they're not willing to change. And that's step one. You have to be willing to change. After that, there's a list of things you can do. And one of them is obviously having a positive attitude and developing that, because the people who can help you get what you want, you're not going to go out and do it on your own. We don't live in a world where you just do everything on your own. You're going to need someone to help you, whether it's directly or indirectly, right? Someone's got to make a YouTube video. If you're going to watch YouTube videos on how to do something, someone had to make that in order for you to watch it, right? To get the knowledge. So knowledge is transferred either directly or indirectly with another person, but you have to be open to attracting that into your life. And I think the mindset you have is what's going to ultimately determine whether you're going to attract that. So step one, you got to be willing to change. You got to be coachable on some level. And if you truly are, the next step is taking action to identifying why you're currently in the situation you're in and what actions you need to take to get to where you want to be. And then after that, man, it's just time and practice.
Persistence.
Fucking fall down, get up, fall down, get up, fall down, get up, That's it.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. All right, so
hold up one sec. We should actually link. I looked it up. It's Eric Thomas, E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher. Gabe, under the podcast, are we able to the story Damon was telling about the guru in the water?
Yeah.
Are we able to link that below so people can check out this video?
Yeah, I can drop a link in there. And I planned on dropping a link to Damon's YouTube and his
perfect.
His Instagram also, because it is fucking epic. It is all sorts of cool shit constantly.
I think people get a lot from that, and I want to kind of expand on what you're saying too. At least from my experience, Damon, success does have a price. If you're spending time in your business, maybe that's less time you're spending working out. Maybe that's less time you're spending with your family or your spouse or whatever. And I've met a few people, same thing, man. They really want to do something. You can give them the keys to the kingdom, but unless they're willing to actually act on it, it just won't go anywhere. We had one guy, he was learning real estate investing, and we had realtors calling him with he wanted properties 30% under market value, and realtors, we were generating leads online for him, and they were calling him saying, hey, I got this property, exactly what you're looking for. And the guy, I called him up and he's like, yeah, I'm struggling right now. I'm like, oh, what's the problem? He's like, it's like, I don't have enough time to like pick up the phone. You know, he says he's wanting to change. He has all the tools, but he's not willing to do it. So, you know, his excuse was, I have a young daughter. I'm like, I get that. But I'm like, you know, if you can't even pick up the phone to respond to your calls coming in, I'm like, there's just no hope. So I just really resonate with a lot of stuff you're saying, man.
Yeah.
I feel like that time thing's an interesting thing for me because it's people use it a lot. I don't have the time. But really when it comes down to it, you need to make the time. Like the time's there. You just got to fucking find it and make it.
Yeah. I think it's more, me and you have chatted about this before, man. I think it's always a question of priorities.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's got 24 hours in a day. Damon's got 24 hours. Same with me and Gabe. It's just, where does it fall on their priority list? If it falls below watching the hockey game and drinking beer, well then, you know, that's the result they're going to get at the end of the day.
100%.
Let's I kind of want to switch focus a little bit, talk a little bit about daily driven exotics. First of all, you know, maybe expand a little bit more on this hobby that's become more or less a brand and what you're planning to do with it.
And how you got into it, honestly, because you said it started with one video. And maybe like let's go back a little bit farther. I'm just gonna reel it back here. Your first supercar, what was that like? And how did you get that? And then let's progress forward from there.
My first supercar. All right. So I've obviously had this dream of owning a supercar, and there is a local company in Vancouver called SR Auto Group that I've had a relationship with that do also tuning and aftermarket parts with luxury cars as well as supercars. And I've followed them on social media. And when the time came to being able to purchase some cool aftermarket parts, because I was in the finally in a financial place to do that, I did some modifications to a Range Rover and bought a few other parts through those guys and built a relationship with them again. And when it came time to buying a supercar, I had my sights set on a Lamborghini Gallardo. It was like at my time, it was like the least expensive supercar that you could really get into, but it was also like this pinnacle of supercars. I mean, Lamborghini had done something that previously supercars weren't known for, which is they made a reliable supercar. For the most part, the Gallardo was a huge high selling, I think it's the most they ever sold in any one model. Yeah. And the reason for that was it was known to be a good, reliable car. And so my concept, even before I bought that car, was to daily drive it, because I couldn't afford to have a car that cost that much money that would just sit in my garage and I would drive it on weekends. It needed to really be my form of transportation, because I was putting all my eggs in the one basket, so to speak, when it came to car fund money. I couldn't afford that car plus even another cheaper car. And besides, who's going to buy a Lamborghini Gallardo and then have a Honda Civic for their commuter? So, I would have had to have bought something somewhat respectable to drive in alignment with that car. And I just didn't have that kind of money. So I went to Vancouver to buy the Gallardo. But being a father and having two kids and a wife, I got right to the doorstep of SR Auto Group. I walked in the door, there was the Gallardo, and right next to it was this insanely gorgeous, newer, because I would have had to buy an older Gallardo. I was looking at like an 06. Mm-hmm. There was a 2011, this is in the tail end of 2011, there was a 2011 Maserati Gran Turismo in white with all the carbon fiber and the red leather interior, mm-hmm. and it had 4 seats. Now, people would debate that's not a supercar, but it's this high-end luxury sports car that's kind of just before the supercar, and it's got a Ferrari engine, and the sound of the Maserati sounds kind of like deeper, throatier, Ferrari-esque. Yeah. It was just an epic car. So I bought that car instead. And like all things, the novelty wears off, and I was like, okay, no, it is time to get into a proper supercar. I went back, traded that car in, and I got the Gallardo. So I got that Gallardo. That was my very first real supercar. It was an 06. It was E-Gear. And I wanted to do something super epic with it. and I had this stupid idea to make a video, rally style-esque driving it out on a dirt road in the British Columbia forest. I thought really scenic would be cool. And so I grabbed a friend of my wife's that she went to school with that was in film school and made films. And he grabbed one of his DSLRs and we went out to this logging road and we shot what is now on my channel known as the Lamborghini WRC video. And that video took off, went viral. It's currently got like just shy of 4.7 million views. And through that, I gained this overnight subscriber count on that channel. And I didn't know what to do with it. I mean, I didn't expect that to happen, but it happened and happened so quickly. And I wasn't ready to be a YouTuber at the time. I didn't even really know what that meant. It's taken me years to figure it out. But I had this channel, and then I made another video called the Lamborghini Jim Kahana Practice, because I am a big fan of Ken Block and what he does. His videos are insane. Mm-hmm. But no one, again, trying to be different, create a brand that has a uniqueness to it, its own niche, which to this day still holds true. Daily Driven Exotics is really the only brand and channel that is hooning supercars.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what it's grown into. And I eventually was like, all right, I've got 35,000 subscribers. Let's push this and see if we can't get it up to, you know, a couple 100,000 and see what kind of revenue we're making and build a real business around it, a brand that people follow, they're inspired by, they're motivated to either go after their own dreams, or maybe they're a current supercar owner that has a car that they're inspired or motivated to drive more because I shed some of the myths about daily driving a supercar around costs, or will it break down, or, you know, can you go to the grocery store in it? And it's done all those things. And now we're taking the next leap forward, and we're building merchandise and brand deals with other companies that want to do advertising in the social media space. I'm building a real company around it now, giving it a real go.
Yes. So I'm going to touch back on something, and I know this for a fact, and I don't know if you want to talk about it too much, but when you did that video, did the police show up at your door? The original Lamborghini one?
Oh yeah, they did.
How did that go, and what happened with that?
Well, I thought, being safety conscious, that obviously going out and blatantly driving like that on what I thought was public paved roads would be illegal and dangerous. And I didn't have the money to really put out for video production and, you know, permits and all this sort of stuff that you need. So I thought, you know, like, we grow up in this era where when we were kids, you know, you could go out and drive dad's truck on a logging road in the middle of nowhere. And I thought I was doing that in a safe way by taking the car out onto a, you know, quote unquote logging road and driving it. And I did bring out extra friends with radios to kind of put one on each corner of the scene we were going to shoot, if there were corners and stuff, to stop any traffic, because there's still quarters and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I did my best to mitigate any potential for other vehicles to get involved, because we didn't want that to happen, obviously, for the obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you film something and you put it on YouTube, it is evidence. It really is. And if you're doing something that's illegal, the police can take that evidence and use it against you. And what happened is what I didn't know is that it doesn't matter if you're at the top of a mountain. Here in British Columbia, anyhow, I don't know about other provinces or states or other parts of the world, but here in BC, if it's considered public access, if the public has access to it, you can be charged with the same illegal driving laws as if you were downtown in your city. Now, you might get a little more mercy from a judge or a prosecutor based on, likely, if you're in the middle of nowhere, there's no people around. You know, if you're downtown your town and there's all these people around, pedestrians and cars, the risk or the percentage of you getting in an accident with someone else is much greater. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, you know, they could still slap you with, you know, dangerous driving or something, stunting or something like that by yourself.
Crazy.
But that's what they did. They came and knocked on my door like 9 o'clock at night. I was freaking out when they came in and told me that my video was being like reviewed by what do they call it, like the crime scene or like forensics. Video
Forensics.
I was like, what? This is crazy. But yeah, I was scared. It eventually all went away. The video was, I don't know. They said it was edited to the point where they couldn't see how fast I was going. There was no markers. And they followed up with some of the other people. I told them we're out there flagging and stuff and helping keep the environment safe. And they were like, okay, like next time you need to get permits and get real flaggers and shut down streets. I'm like, okay. Craziness. Right?
Oh, so crazy. All right. That's funny, man. That's super funny. And you haven't had any issues since?
No.
Oh, nice. That's amazing.
I've been smart. My Jim Kahana video was on private property.
Yeah.
In a mill dry log sort that I had permission to go and hoon on, and it was all blocked off. In fact, the RCMP came and watched me film part of that. They were just driving down the road and saw me ripping the Lambo sideways, and they were like, "This looks crazy."
Yeah, man, that's super cool. So after the Lamborghini, you moved on to a wonderful 458 Ferrari that is known as the Tire Slayer.
Yes.
And this car has quite an online presence. People know it. I see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So tell me about that and kind of what was done to it and how you kind of got into that car.
Yeah. Okay. So that Lamborghini Gallardo I had was really reliable until it started having a pretty typical E-gear issue with a little hydraulic pump, which failed. And when it fails, the whole system fails, and the car's like basically frozen in gear. And I had a nightmare of a time with that car over the course of 3 months. It failed 3 times. It was stuck. It was a headache to get it towed and flatbedded. So in the end, I traded it back in once it was fixed, and I went without a supercar for about just under a year, trying to understand what I wanted to get into next.
Mm-hmm.
And my dream car was a 458 for a while because I had seen a few that I really liked the way it was done. And I had this screenshot back from in 2012 when I got the Maserati of a 458 that SR Auto Group had done. And I used it as a screenshot on my computer. And this goes back to my law of attraction again. And I had that on my computer for years. And when I came time to go buy another car, I wanted to buy a 458. I went to SR Auto Group and they said, "Oh, we have a 458 that just came back in on trade. You should check it out." It was the exact car that was on my screen capture for 3 years. Not like a car like it. It was the exact fucking car.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
That's so funny.
Still had the Novatech body kit on it, had a different set of wheels. But no, it was good to go. So I worked it out, and I got into that car. Now, I wanted to make it my car. I wanted to make it daily driven exotics branded car. And I did my homework, and I went all out. I got a Liberty Walk wide body kit. I got some amazing Pure Wheels, which is a wheel company SR Auto Group owns. We had it all custom built at a shop in Richmond called Fast Track Auto Body, who had experience in wide bodying supercars. This was like their 7th Liberty Walk wide body kit they had done. So they really knew what they were doing. It was in good hands. And I wanted to put my own little twist on it. So instead of it being, because I was late to the game. Like when I came and did my Liberty Walk kit, Liberty Walk had already blown up. It had been at SEMA multiple years in a row. There were plenty of 458s on the internet you could see. So I had to change it a little bit. And I love racing parts. So I somehow weaseled my way into Ferrari's racing division with a few connections. And I got my hands on a functional Ferrari Challenge GT wing and all carbon GT3 wide body mirrors, which went with the theme, a carbon bucket racing seat, and the harnesses. And I put that all on the car, and it transformed the car. And then to really tie a bow on it, I ended up putting a crazy custom wrap on it. And it wasn't my idea. I stole the idea from actually the 2015 Red Bull livery on one of their F1 cars. Red Bull Racing had done this prototype camo. So typically when a car comes out of the factory and they want to hide it when they're test driving it on the road, they wrap it in this crazy black and white, like super abstract print. Mm-hmm. And you can't really tell what the body lines look like. And Red Bull had done that to one of their F1 cars, but they did it in this really cool way where they incorporated sponsor logos. So I stole that concept and made a street car, which was what you ended up with the 458.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this wide body, crazy winged, insanely low, unique one of one 458. Then on top of it, to make it stand out, it had this black and white abstract pattern all over it with Daily Driven Exotics and some of the people like SR Auto Group who helped me build the car and gave me a few discounts here and there. They had their logos in printed in the wrap. And it made for a really unique car. And when it came out and we put the first photos, which were shot by none other than the amazing, talented young Marcel Lay from Vancouver, he took some professional photos, and as soon as it hit the internet, boom, it just blew up. Like DuPont Registry featured it, Jalopnik, it went all over. And I was getting phone calls. Like I had tire stickers on my car at the time. Tire stickers then called me back and were like, can we use your car in our ad for DuPont Registry? I was like, sure. So now if you pick up a copy of DuPont Registry and look at the tire stickers ad, it's actually the 458 sitting in the background as their car. So yeah, it got a lot of attention. And then of course I did Gold Rush Rally with it, drove it across the country, drove it to all sorts of events. And once it was in the public eye and car spotters started to take photos of it, it just blew up. Next thing you know, it was just everywhere.
Yeah, that thing was super cool, man. And I say was because it is no longer with us. Well, it is, but it's not with you.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about that a little bit? Just kind of like the short version of it, I guess.
About what happened to the car?
Yeah, what happened to it?
Yeah, so this past August, I drove it again down. I vlogged my trip. I took a really scenic, epic trip. I wanted to meet my fans. We set something up that we branded as the secret meet and greet. You could go and be one of the first 100 people that went to my website when I announced a city. So if you live close to a city, I wouldn't say the exact location, but if you were relatively close or could get to the city to come and meet me and be in the car and experience the car, I was meeting fans. And so people could go through Eventbrite for free and sign up. And the first 100 people would then get emailed an exclusive location, a secret location that I would show up at a certain time. And we would do like a hands-on experience and photography thing with the car. And I did that through 4 cities on my way down to Monterey Car Week. And when I finally got to Monterey Car Week to attend there, I made it through the entire 4 days. But the very last day we went on a cruise. And in that cruise, it's not like a really expensive, ultra high luxury rally where, it's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to get in. So, for a couple $100, you get a more diverse mix of drivers. And with that, you get mixed, diverse driving experience. And unfortunately, a lot less driving experience than bigger rally drivers. And I ended up in a pack of young guys. And it was just a combination of one of my mistakes that I could pull off with a bunch of more veteran drivers that I couldn't around rookie drivers. And what ended up happening is me and another guy kind of turned into each other, and he was at a high rate of speed. I was at a low rate of speed. I wasn't even near the speed limit, but we turned into each other. And at about 70 miles an hour, he hit the front end of the Ferrari and just destroyed it, like ripped the entire front end of the Ferrari off. My friend Chad was a passenger. We were lucky that it wasn't like a foot or two further down the door by my legs. Who knows what the story would have been at that point. But anyhow, yeah, that's what happened. Car was a complete total loss. It spent the next 6 months in a salvage yard, and then it eventually ended up going to auction, and someone bought it. And the guy who bought it was really cool. He invited me out to come see the car and even drive it. And we just recently shot an insane video where I'm driving the 458 with no front end on it. He like jimmied up with zap straps, a radiator and a hose to the front end. It's got no front end. And we even took the doors off. And I go out and I'm doing like donuts around like a GTR and a brand new C63. And I do tandem donuts with like a real drift car. It's just a crazy video. And it was a great farewell to that car because now I've moved on And yeah, you want me to quickly say what I got now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
I got a 2016 rear-wheel drive supercharged by VF Engineering, 800 horsepower. So that's rear-wheel drive Lamborghini Huracan.
So that's an LP 580-2, correct?
Correct. And with the supercharger, it is now an LP 800-2.
Perfect. I like the modification to the name also.
Yes.
That's out of control, man.
Oh, I don't even know how you drive that thing.
It's you know what? Traction control is an amazing thing. If you turn it off, that's where the skill comes in because it gets squirrely quick. So years of cars is how I get away with it.
Sorry, I was watching some of your videos, and like you have a couple of acceleration videos, and I'm watching the traction control light come on in like third and fourth gear.
Yeah, oh yeah, it comes on in like right up till I can get it right up until seventh gear actually.
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's insane,
Madness.
Man.
Yeah.
Any future plans with that? And I mean, I understand if you want to kind of keep things a secret because it's good to hype some stuff up for your YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some aero kits and stuff like that. So
cool.
We're gonna put it together here pretty quick.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, you're a big fan of race car on the street, so I'm psyched to see where that goes. So with DDE, you just you're just over 70,000 subscribers. Is that correct? I think you're around 73 or something like that.
I have 73,000.
Yeah, give or take. So what's your plans with that? And as an online business, where are you going to take that, and how are you going to monetize that moving forward?
Well, I mean, like I said, we're going to build out. We're going to be paid off of the ad revenue from the channel. That's pretty typical for YouTubers. That's very little money.
Yeah.
But where you really can monetize.
Could you speak about that for a second? Like when people put ads on you or videos on YouTube and it generates a ton of views, how does that generate income?
So YouTube's owned by Google, and Google uses its geo-targeting with IPs. So when you log on to the internet, you're on an IP, it knows your location, and based on companies marketing products online that are paying Google to place ads in front of people, they place ads according to where you are and maybe your interests that have been, saved through cookies when you're Google searching items. So if you go and look at, for example, tires, and then go watch a YouTube video, it's very likely you could see like a local tire company ad show up in front of you, and they're paid money for that. And so as a content creator running a channel, you get a very small portion for every impression. Impression is someone seeing the ad. Now, if they go through and click on the ad, you can get more money. If there's a sale made, you can get even more money. So that's typically how it's measured in a nutshell. When those ads pop up in front of you, it's because we've enabled, the person whose channel it is has enabled monetization. And we typically get, CPMs, which is the amount of money you're being paid for every 1,000 impressions, is pretty small. It might be $1.50 or something like that. So the average YouTube video, you would make $1,000 for 1 million views.
Wow.
And that's a lot of work to get $1,000. So the way people monetize it is by making merchandise lines, by building an audience that's loyal and interested in the brand, and also being able to then further do marketing with other like co-brand stuff. So you can do brand sponsor deals where, let's say, Nito tires, for example. I'm not working with Nito tires, but let's say they came to me and were like, your demographic works for our demographic. We want to pay you $5,000 to talk about Nito tires at the beginning of one of your videos because you're getting X amount of engagement. That happens all the time. I know a lot of YouTubers right now that are getting paid that type of money. They'll get paid $4,000 or $5,000 to talk for 30 seconds at the beginning of one of their videos because their videos are getting 300,000 or 400,000 views per day.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the real money is.
Does that affect like viewability on any level? Like because I know you have diehard fans. So if you started pitching, let's say tires, for example, in the start of your video, do you think that would affect views or affect subscribers on any level?
It does. I think some people really don't like ads, but I think they're becoming more and more tolerant of it. You can actually insert multiple ads in a video.
Oh,
I
crazy.
think someone who has one ad at the beginning of the video that's also that you can turn off, or even if it was just a video that, or someone was really loyal to the channel and they couldn't turn it off, if it's one video, I don't think it's a problem. People who put like 4 or 5 ads in their videos, I think they're really killing themselves. They're shooting themselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some ads where you watch it and like halfway through you're like, why am I getting hit with this full ad? I was just watching something. It's just different. Yeah. It's different. So you're talking about like really expanding the brand and like coming up with merchandise. Do you plan on launching or do you already have a full online store with merchandise, and kind of where's that going?
Yeah, so I do. I mean, we currently do hats, hoodies, t-shirts, and some cell phone cases. We have some new stuff coming out, things like cell phone holders, air fresheners for your car, lots of fun stuff, and some other stuff that's still in the works. That's all on our website, dailydrivenexotics.com. You can also find YouTube videos there. You can follow all of our social media, which is Daily Driven Exotics on Instagram. On Facebook, they didn't like the word exotics. You have to be more descriptive. So for Facebook, our page is Daily Driven Exotic Cars. They wanted cars in there. So everything, though, if you were to just go to dailydrivenexotics.com, you can get to everything. All our social media, you can contact me, you can email me. I reply to virtually almost every comment that's only a couple of days old on my videos on YouTube. Super accessible that way. And you'll see me out at multiple events. I do little rallies to big rallies to car shows. I do a lot of stuff in Southern California. I'm flying out tomorrow to head back down there to go participate on Sunday morning at my friend Ted Seven, who's a huge photographer down there. He's incredible. He puts on a show called Moulin, and it has all like the top crazy supercars, hypercars. So I'll be down there making videos and creating more content for the channel. And that's it in a nutshell, man. So far, we plan on doing some bigger stuff, but I can't really let the cat out of the bag on that.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. So
yeah,
one more question for you. If someone wanted to get into vlogging, which you do, and your YouTube channel, what kind of advice would you give them into kind of starting that, and what to look out for?
Okay. I think the biggest thing is you don't need fancy gear. Mm-hmm. So you could literally start vlogging. The quality of the cameras on cell phones these days, I mean, are more than enough. And they also have image stabilization in them, which is really handy. So you could start with like an iPhone, and you really just want more than anything to have a story to tell. Everything is about the story. So you make it about your life, and that's pretty easy because you don't have to storyboard that too much. It's just you're going to live your life as it is. But if you do something in a day, it's good if you can find one key point in that day about a specific topic that then you can kind of focus a little bit more on and talk a little bit more about that and inform people about it. So you can create like something around your day other than maybe just here's me. But you can also do that like, here's me, this is my life, and people will follow you, and then your story is you. Mm-hmm. It's like my story a lot of the time is it's just Damon Fryer. It's not even DD. It's like, this is Damon doing whatever. You know what I mean? Like one of my vlogs just recently had no car content. It was me, my wife, and my youngest daughter flying from Southern California back to British Columbia, and just what it's like to fly with a 4-year-old, right? You know, like my vlog is like, one scene of the vlog is I aim the camera down and I have my daughter strapped to the bottom of my leg sitting on my foot because she wanted to ride dad's leg through the airport. Mm-hmm. So I'm like hobbling with a 4-year-old on my leg.
Dad life.
2 seconds later, yeah, dad life. And then 2 seconds later, she's not wanting to walk with us. She wants to go in another direction. So my wife and I are like trying to call her bluff, and we're walking away from her. And for like good 10 seconds, she actually just stays in her spot. And I think the audience is like, okay, are they going to turn around and get her, or is she going to start to run? And so there's that suspense, right? Like, it's fun, and that's just my life. So it really depends on what you want to shoot, but I would say story is king. Everything serves the story. The better of a story you can tell, the better with practice you get at editing and being able to make that so that it's quick and it keeps and holds people's attention. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
After that, if you have money to buy fancy gear, yeah, you can improve audio quality, image quality. But at the end of the day, as long as you have fairly decent audio, a bit of a shaky camera doesn't bother people.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's vlogging these days, and that's a pretty typical video perspective now. It doesn't have to be all cinematic and Hollywoodish. That costs lots of money and takes way too much time.
Yeah.
Oh, and then be consistent. The number one thing about making money or sort of building an audience is being consistent. Try to make at least a couple of videos a week at a minimum. That would be my key. I feel like people have a hard time following your brand if there's less than 2 videos a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great advice, man. And it's like, I have no idea because I've never had a YouTube channel or vlogged or anything like that. So it's interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
What do you think is the potential for earning on YouTube? Like, I don't know a lot of YouTube. Like, I know
millions.
Some YouTubers, but
there's YouTubers that are making like millions and millions and millions of dollars.
That's amazing, just by putting out videos and then building off their brand.
Yeah. So, but I didn't want to have to say it on the podcast, but I guess you guys can edit it. But I do have another call I got to jump onto. They're already hitting me.
Okay, cool.
So what do you want to wrap it up with?
That's fine. You can just we can just wrap it up right now. So thanks for coming, man. Like, this is a super interesting story. Your life is super interesting, all of it. I'm pumped to see more what you do with the YouTube stuff too. So yeah, I'm stoked. Tyler, you got anything?
No, I just encourage people to, if you're looking for someone to follow, someone who's building a brand and done some great foundation and is going to keep going, I'd say definitely follow, subscribe to his channel, and check it out.
Yeah, awesome. I'll include all the links below in the details. And thanks so much for your time, Damon. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, you guys. Thanks for having me. And I hope everybody enjoyed the podcast today. And I look forward to maybe doing an updated one in the future. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, make sure to subscribe to his shit. It's good.
Yeah, subscribe to my shit. Really driven exotics, thrashing supercars.
All right. Bye.
Okay, later, guys.
See ya.
Ciao. Take care.